are entering one more talk. I think this is the last talk for the Asia block. Uh, will be delivered by Saurav Gautam from the Youth Mapper. So Saurav, are you ready?
Yes, Harry. Thank you, Harry.
Yes. So if you're ready, please take it away. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Saurav Gautam. I am Regional Ambassador Youth Mappers. I'm from Pokhara, Nepal. Um, Currently, I'm working as the faculty member at Institute of Engineering, Tribhuvan University, Nepal, and I'm been involved in OpenStreetMap activities since 5 years. So today I'm talking about my journey of OpenStreetMap, how I'm involved with Youth Mappers, and how the fantastic Youth Mappers chapter called GSAN is working together to bring positive changes in Nepal, as well as some of the setbacks that we have faced. So I would say the setbacks are due to me, and all the success is from the fantastic group that we have. So next slide, please. Yes, so this is all about me. And so next slide. So talking about my OSM journey, I started my OSM journey in 2015 as a student mapper in college, and which was conducted by Kathmandu Living Lab, so very active OpenStreetMap community in Nepal. So after that, on the same year, I was fortunate to be the founding president of Youth Mappers chapter called GSAN. And later in 2017, I was selected as Youth Mappers Leadership Fellow to attend a week-long workshop in Kathmandu, and which was actually a milestone to accelerate my OpenStreetMap journey. On 2017, I was a speaker at State of the Map Asia, which was held in Kathmandu, Nepal. And later in 2019, I moderated a panel called The Voices of Youth Mappers, in which different youth mappers from Asia participated on the panel. So as a regional ambassador, I launched a campaign called Mapping with Momos, which is actually bringing two favorite things of the youth of Nepal, the favorite food momos and mapping together. So we really had an interesting group of people and interesting event, which actually did a lot of works in contributing to OSM in Nepal. So uh, since we have been unfortunately struck by the pandemic, on the pandemic, I have been conducting different virtual open mapping workshops for Youth Mappers chapter around Nepal. Next slide, please. So yeah, talking about me, Youth Mappers have a very huge influence in my OpenStreetMap career and journey. So I'm fortunate to be a member of Youth Mappers community, which supports a group of like-minded youths from all over the world to capitalize on geographic data, driving various movements and helping change community. So the feeling of oneness despite our geographic and cultural diversity is what Youth Mappers unites us. So if you are a student and if you haven't heard about Youth Mappers, you can go check on Google Youth Mappers. Next slide, please. So talking about the failures, so I already said all these failures are upon me. So I like to talk about three things that happened. So actually I had scheduled a mapping workshop and everything ready, right? Everything, the food, the event, the venue, everything was ready. But what happened was the participant didn't show up. So working with students is challenging, right? They have their huge academics load to do all of the different assignments, projects, and theses. So what happened was that they had a very important class scheduled on that day in which I had asked them to attend the mapping workshop. So they were not able to attend that. So this sort of things happen when we are dealing with students. So we have to be patient and we have to be organize them properly. So I conducted a mapping workshop and did everything right. It was a one-day mapping event, and we did everything from training them to editing ID, to use ZOSM, to do field mapping, and also a little bit of hot tasking manager. But what happened was, I think it was too much for them, and we were not able to retain them as a lifelong contributors. So we also organized a mapathon, trained more than 100 participants, but from that, only 60 participants contributed, and 15 of them only did most of the heavy mapping. So as we know, in OpenStreetMap and the internet, we have very few people contributing, maybe 1%, and then the rest 99% are the users. So we also need to think about increasing that number as well. Next slide, please. So as I said, the lessons learned from those setbacks were that a one-day event may not be enough, right? We have this huge interesting things about OpenStreet mapping contributions and learning new technologies, field mappings and volunteer contributions. So I think scheduling those activities on a space of few days would be better, and would be better to make people more engaged on that activity and make them lifelong contributors. So participants should be made aware about the cause, values, and significance of the mission. We also need to provide them backstory and the meaning of why we map and why we are called as digital volunteers and how our contribution matters. So along with that, we need to provide them clear and concise instructions which are easy to follow, and this should be provided while creating a rewarding experience. So next slide. So talking about successes, I provided orientation and training to new and old YouthMappers chapters during the last 6 months virtually, conducted numerous online sessions of remote mapping events with different national organizations in Nepal, and on the same way contributed lifelong mappers and long-term contributors in that process. So this picture shows a thank you note to all those amazing mappers of our community, also of YouthMappers, OSM and HOT for providing a platform. So it says that our chapter has done 300,000 edits with hashtag Zishan on them. So this is our way to appreciate everything. So next slide. Yes, and this is the chapter activity map, which is a heat map showing all those 852,000 edits we have done since 2015 by our chapter members. We are a chapter from Nepal, so you can see a huge contribution on the Nepal, but we can also see all those lights of hope scattered around the globe. So that is what we are actually proud of. Next slide. Yes, we are unfortunate to be struck by the pandemic. So despite the pandemic, we capitalized on the virtual environment and did numerous online sessions. The first picture is about the World Environment Day, in which I launched a campaign with different partners and YouthMappers chapter to map forest and trees of Nepal. You know that Nepal has a very huge concentration of forest area, but while you go and see OpenStreetMap, the thing is not represented there. So you can all see missing places. So what I actually wanted to do is to put those trees and forests in Nepal, so the actual environment and actual conditions on OpenStreetMap. So the next the image is about a month-long mapathon campaign on which we trained more than 100 people, and they from basics to advanced validation, and they were able to contribute on two of the remotest districts of Nepal, which are Bajang and Bajura. And later on, few of the students got an opportunity to go to the field and then map those elements on the field. So the last image is recently done. It is called Female Leaders in OSM, in which we invited mapping enthusiast females to map the remotest district of Nepal, the largest and remotest district of Nepal, for 15 days. And they will also learn how to use mapping and then do validation. So next slide. Yes, this is one of the picture of online orientation, which was done virtually. And despite the pandemic and the virtual presence, I was able to taught basics of GIS to university students. And on that, many students, it was very good to know that a lot of students were eager to learn GIS, and they were also wanting to learn how to map, and they were really interested to learn these new technologies. So I took the advantage of opportunity to reach a wider audience and organize sessions and training sessions to map in OpenStreetMap, use JOSM, and contribute via tasking manager. So next slide.
So because of this recent ongoing COVID pandemic, I have been relying on online purchases for a lot of the essentials in my house. But since my locality was not mapped on the OpenStreet mapping, I always had to go to the further distance to collect my deliveries. The very first thing that I did after learning the OSM was I mapped my locality and my house also. And now all the online purchases that I make are directly delivered to my doorsteps.
Yes, so these are the goals that I want to talk about. Our goals has been to help new mappers understand the value and significance of mapping, and to help them realize that it is both easy as well as rewarding experience, and has many opportunities to learn and explore, to motivate mappers as lifelong contributors, and also to maintain the quality of mapping. Next slide. So I want to talk about how we can retain mappers for lifelong contributions. For that, I think I propose few things: that we need to have a national community which has both online and offline presence, so that we actually work together both in the virtual as well as face to face. And we also need to have national level mapping campaigns, and this would be running continuously, because it would be better for a new beginner mapper to map the places which he or she knows, right? So, and they also need to have continuous, we also need to provide them continuous mapping opportunities, because what happened is that during one of the online session, few participants completed the tasks and then they were eager to contribute more on other places of Nepal. And at that time, we actually didn't have few projects, but we asked them to contribute on other projects around the globe, as well as we are planning to create new projects. In addition to global and regional events, national level events like workshop and conferences should occur frequently, and we need to create environment of knowledge sharing and capacity building as well. Next slide. So this slide also sums up what I talked previously. So the way forward would be to way forward to recruit and retain new mappers and have their contribution is to give them knowledge, to provide them the backstory, the basic knowledge of how and why it is important and how they can do it easily. We need to form a community to come together and have the same shared vision and goals, and then act. Also, those and then we have highly skilled people, now we have community, and later we need to provide people with opportunity, just as jobs or other volunteer opportunities, or the data that they can use on their academics as well as research. And if we are able to do that, we can actually move forward. So next slide. So I'd like to end my slide with this quote, which is a fantastic quote by Margaret Mead, which says, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." Thank you. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me via email or social media. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurav, for the wonderful presentation. It's just seeing a lot of situation. It's in a lot of countries, including my country, Indonesia. So it's very helpful to see all of your effort with the Youth Mapper community there. So thank you, and everyone, please reach out directly to Saurav if you have any question or comments. And now we finally